Swami G, you're on mute.
Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Yomagat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karni Vishruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatraha Tirairangai Shushtvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Life as we know it is only a series of experiences. And in this prakriya, they've all been clubbed into just these three: waking experiences, deep sleep experiences, and dreaming experiences. All are experiences. And in all the three states, we are so involved with the experiences. We see ourselves as the experiencer who is experiencing something, and see this distinction between the experiencer and experience. When we wake up in the morning, immediate identification with the Sharira, and we have expressions such as, I slept very well, I'm feeling refreshed, or I slept intermittently, I don't feel like getting up. It is too cold outside, I want to be inside. It may not happen in Singapore or in Chennai, but in Delhi it happens very frequently, I can tell you. All those identifications and the experiences with the waking state, all that we get involved in everything that happens from the moment we're up and about. All those are interactions using both the Shariras. And we're so involved in that, we can't think of anything else. And then at the end of the day, tired, we go into sleep mode. In sleep mode, we experience nothing. We experience nothing. There is no experience division. Subject of division is not there. But we don't know. Only the next time when we are again in the waking state or in the dream state, we are able to recognize what we went through. And then we have the dream state. Again, series of experiences. The beauty is in all the three states, individually we have no control. It's almost as if we are pushed into that. In dream, it's very easy to understand. I have no control over what I'm going to dream. But it's true also of waking. We are pushed into doing things. In dream, of course, you're not even aware, so it has no relevance. In this preoccupation with the experiences in the three states, we do not have either the time or the inclination or the bent of mind to think about what is it that is constant in these three states. What is it that is unchanging in these three states? That means all the experiences we go through, there is something which remains unchanging. Because we said every experience you go through has been clumped into these three categories. We just don't have the time, inclination, bent of mind, or even opportunity to think about it. Occasionally, a thought might occur, but it never is allowed to bloom. Till some punya we have pushes us into examining it in some depth. So to help us think through all this, Shastra talks about the three states of being, three states of experiences in some detail. Ah, yes, this I can understand. Oh, this is what happens in my waking state. Yeah, that's true. My physical body is active, I'm alive, I'm thinking, that fellow said this, fellow said the other. I am constantly interacting using both the physical body and the subtle body. And when it is pointed out by Shastra, I am able to relate to it immediately. It is true. In association with my physical body and my sukshma sharira, the subtle body, I am doing what I am doing in my waking state. Mark the words. In association with the two bodies. Be very careful with the understanding of the word body. Because when it comes to Karana Sharira, there is no Sharira. In association with the two states, I experience a number of things during the waking hours. And then when you talk about dream, Shastra says you dream, your physical body is inactive, it's not accessible, it's unmanifest. First, it's difficult to say, what do you mean unmanifest? I'm still there, no. On that bed is there body. But the body is jada. It has no activity. Only my sukshma sharira is active. What Shastra says makes sense. You identify with that. Oh, that's true. It's also true that I dream. I have no control over what I dream. I can't go to sleep saying, today I am going to dream of all those wonderful things that you can do in your waking hours, in daydream. So all that one is able to identify and therefore relate to it. Then it makes automatic sense that when you are deep sleep, neither the Sukshma Sharira nor the Sthula Sharira is available, except all the Panchapranas. And those Panchapranas are fortunately alive because, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. Because I have to be up and about the next day to exhaust my other prarabdha karma. All this I can easily understand, I can relate to. Then, having pointed this out, Shastra says, you are not the waker. You are the waker only in the waking hours because you have identified with the two Sharira. But you are not the waker. Why do you say you're not the waker? Because in dream, where are you? Completely different. In deep sleep, you're not even there at all. Nothing to identify with. Oh, if I'm not the waker, and if I'm not the dreamer, and if I'm not the sleeper, because they are three different things, who am I? That I, in association with the two Sharira, is what I call the waker. The same I, Sayeva Jiva, in association with only the Sukshma Sharira, is the dreamer. The same I, in Shushupti, with no identification, anything else, is the I, the sleeper. Oh, then there is something which is common in all three states. What is changing is only the association with the body. Shastra says, all right, now we've understood this much. Think about what the I is. And in the last verse we saw, that is the I from which everything arises, into which everything resolves, which sustains everything. That is I, that is you. Called Brahman, called consciousness, called Chaitanyam, called Satyam, called Anantam. Therefore he said, Adharam Anandam Anantam Akhanda Bodham. Yasmin Layam Yati Puratrayam. Everything goes into Laya, into that. Everything comes out from there. Oh, you're talking about cause and effect. Yes. But cause and effect, not as we normally understand it. A clay is the cause of various things, a pot, a lid, a jar, whatever. Gold is the cause for a necklace, a chain, a big chain, a very beautifully made chain, a lump of badly made chain. But that is not what we're talking about. That is example used to understand that everything is nothing but its cause. I am that cause which, without undergoing any change at all, as though become everything else. If, like in the case of a pot and its cause clay, which undergoes certain modifications to become the cause in terms of shape, or the gold, which undergoes certain modification in terms of becoming something else, becoming another name and form, they belong to the same order of reality. But if the cause undergoes no change at all, and yet appears to become so many different things, it cannot be the same order of reality. It has in fact to be a lower order of reality. In the desert, when you have a mirage, the same dry sand becomes water. You run to that water because you're thirsty and find that there's no water. It is the same sand without undergoing any change has become water. It is another order of reality. That water cannot quench your thirst in this order of reality. But it is there. You can't deny it. It is there. The snake is there and it's not there. What is it? The cause is a cause which undergoes no change. That kind of cause is what you are. And that kind of cause need not have any shape, any form. That kind of cause creates so many products without any change to itself. This raises a number of questions. Raises questions about, for example, I can ask, if this cause is what you call Atma, where is Atma? The question itself is wrong. You cannot ask where is Atma. And if somebody answers everywhere, that's also wrong. Not wrong, but that's the incorrect interpretation. Everywhere implies that Atma is in space. Sorry. Space is an Atma. Akasha is born of Atma. The subtlest of all elements that we are aware of is Akasha, is born of Atma. So you cannot ask, where is Atma? But you can ask. While you cannot ask, where is the locus of Atma, that puts us in a spot saying, how do I then know Atma? Fortunately for us, you can ask, where is the locus of the knowledge of the Atma? And for that, Shastra gives us very nice answers. Sometimes it calls Hridaya. Sometimes it says Manaha. Sometimes it says Buddhi. All mean the same thing. There is only one possible place where this knowledge, Atma, can take place. Where doubts can be there, where ajnanam can be there, where doubts can be removed, where ajnanam can be removed. In the Buddhi. So in many places you will see, including the Bhagavad Gita, you will say Chindante Hridaya Grantihi. All the doubts, all the uncertainties can be removed. All the ajnanam can be removed. Once you understand that Atma is the very source, and that Atma, I'm saying Atma, I use the word Atma, I mean I am the very source of not only these three so-called Sharira, states of experience, but of everything else. All of them of a lower order of reality, because the Atma, as though, creates all this without undergoing any change. I create all this without undergoing any change. That's why Atma Brahman is presented as both the Nimitta Karana and the Upadana Karana. It is the material from which everything is made. Gross things, subtle things, everything. And in all of these, we can add the word as though. Because they all exist and don't exist. Which is what is the definition of Mithya. My Sharira exists and doesn't exist. My mind exists and doesn't exist. The computer in front of me exists and doesn't exist. My thoughts exist and don't exist. They all belong to another order of reality called Mithya. I am the only Satyam. We are so conditioned by these experiences that when you say I, automatically the finger goes here. I. No. You have to think beyond that. That conditioning has changed. That I, that Atma, which is different from the dreamer, waker, and sleeper, which is the very cause of the dreamer, the cause of the sleeper, cause of the waker. He is the cause of everything. You are the cause of everything. So he says, Brahmaji is now saying, can we go back to the verse, please, 16? Etasmad jayate pranaha. Manas sarvendriyani cha. Ambayurjyotirapaha. Prithvi vishvasya dharini. Yat param brahma sarvatma. Vishvasyayatanam mahat. Sukshmat sukshmataram nityam. Tat tvameva tvameva tat. Etasmad jayate pranaha. Manaha sarva indriyani cha. Sarve indriyani cha. All totality of all prana in this jagat, samashti, hiranyagarbha, virat, hiranyagarbha. Prana stands for that ichha, kriya ichha. We saw in Tattva also. Prana along with all the karmendriyas. And manas with all the jnanendriyas. Buddhi with all the jnanendriyas. Account for all the koshas. Here he says, pranaha, manas, and sarvendriyani cha. Chakara is there. You can add anything else you want in that. Everything is born of I, when I understand I, without association with the upadhis. The entire jagat as Virat, the physical form of the Jagat, as Hiranyagarbha or called Sutratma, in all its form, is born of the unchanging Atma I. Manas Sarvendriyani. Clear definition of that Tattva. The entire Jagat is non-separate from Ishvara or Brahman. Where does it start? Kham Vayuhu Jyotihi Apaha Prithvi. Kham is Akasha. Akasha is the subtlest of the five elements. That which pervades something else is more subtle. Akasha is the subtlest of elements. No form. It just pervades everything. Akasha is space, not Akasha as sky. Space. That into which everything is accommodated, physical things are accommodated. It is the subtlest. And from that form of Brahman as Akasha comes the next subtle Vayu. Again, no form, all pervading. And from the same Brahman as Akasha and as Vayu, for the first time, Shastra propounds form comes in the form of Agni. And from all these three comes Apaha. And from all four of these appears the grossest of them, Prithvi. Prithvi is associated with smell. Apaha is associated with taste. Agni is associated with form. Vayu is associated with touch. And Akasha with sound. Each one in order of gradation of subtlety. These originally appear as in the subtle form. So the whole Jagat in its subtle form as Hiranyagarbha appears as these five elements, from which through a combination of these elements, a very good example of that is oxygen and hydrogen, both are gaseous, but they can combine to provide the grossness of water. Like that, these subtle elements combine. This is given Panchikaranam. And form five more elements. Sometimes it's confusing because those five elements are given the same name as these elements. Mainly because of the predominance of one element in them. So they become the gross part of creation. These remain the subtle part of creation. And from there, we get all the indriyas, karma indriyas, jnana indriyas, prana, manas, buddhi, and the gross body. From the gross elements comes the gross body, and from the subtle elements and different combinations, you get the various Sukshma Sharira components. Not only for myself, for everything in this jagat. In doing all this, you never change. You meaning Atma remains absolutely unchanging. Like the rope remains unchanging and yet creates a snake. Rope remains rope. And yet it creates a snake, and all the reactions to that also are available. Fear, repulsion, whatever else people have for snake, although there is no snake. Like that, this whole Jagat which is created of another order, a lower order, within that there is all the reactions. Our 10th man story is so appropriate. As long as the illusion is there that the 10th man is lost, all the reactions are there. It's only knowledge that ajnanam is removed and knowledge appears that the 10th man is not lost. You are the 10th man. No reactions after that. There's only joy. All these creations, etasmat is what? Tasmat. Earlier he said, no? Adharam, Anandam, Ananta, Khandabodham. From that, etasmat. Everything comes. Pranaha, Manas, Indriyanicha. Tam Vayuhu, Jyotihi, Apaha, and Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. Here, Vishwa here means all living things, plants, animals, humans. The one which supports everything, as far as we know. There may be other lokas where there may be similar things. The science is trying to figure out where there is such thing available. I don't know if you're aware, there's a project called SETI being done jointly by many, many countries, including India, called Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, SETI. They may be there, we don't know. But as far as we know, Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. That's also created by you. Now you know why in many places Swami G says, as though created. This physical sharira is created as though. The mind is created as though. The senses are created as though. So by identifying with all those, we're actually degrading ourselves to a lower order of reality. Whereas the truth is, you are the Satyam. You are Jnanam. You are Anantam. But my own ignorance of this fact, reinforced over and over and over again by everything that happens to me from the time I'm born, makes this false notion so strongly embedded that I need some very strong forces to be able to make me see that I cannot be any of them. In that process of seeing, the locus has to be in the only instrument available to us, which is the buddhi. Because this distinction between the unchanging and the changing is only through cognitive recognition. You cannot separate the waker from Sakshi. You cannot separate the sleeper from Sakshi. You cannot separate the dreamer from Sakshi. Because none of them will exist without the Sakshi. It is only a matter of recognition. Therefore, the locus of understanding Vadatma can be asked for and can be understood. Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. Having now brought us through the Tvam-pada, using the three states of being, and brought us to realize that none of them can be I, to Tat-pada. And then says, they are the same. Tat-pada and Tam-pada, Tat-tvam asi. Yat Param Brahma, Yat Sarvatma. Param Brahma is what? Attributeless Brahman, which is you. Yat Param Brahma, Yat Sarvatma, which is the Atma for everything. Rest of you, I can understand this much, that there is no my Atma, your Atma, this Atma. You cannot have that. That which is the Atma for everything, which is the very adhishthanam for everything. Vishwasya ayatanam. Ayatanam is adhishthanam. That which is, without which nothing in the Vishwa can remain. The Tikakara says, let us see what he says. Sarvatma sarva prani sthita sarvan anyascha Vishwasya sarvasya karya karana jatasya ayatanam adhara bhutam. And Mahat. Mahat means big. You cannot get bigger. Infinite is Mahat. If it is Mahat, are we saying that it is bigger than something else? Is there a comparison? There can be no comparison. Purnatvam stands at one place. Everything else is one place. There is no comparison. They are not the same order. But you said Mahat, which means you make it big. Big is also relative. A fly is big compared to a mosquito, but fly is small compared to a bee. A bee is small compared to a bird. A bird is small compared to an aeroplane. An aeroplane is small compared to, let us say, the earth. Earth is small compared to the sun. So what is big? Everything is relative. Near, far, same problem. Small, big, same problem. So relative. When you say Mahat, Brahmaji makes it very clear by saying Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat. It has to be Mahat because the entire Jagat, it is the very basis, very Nishthanam. It has to be Mahat. But he goes on to say, Sukshma Sukshmataram. Correct? Just now you said big, and now you're saying smaller than the smallest you can imagine. Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyam. You studied in Kathopanishad. Meaning you cannot compare it. You can compare only with a physical object in space or in time. It is nothing, it is not limited by space or by time or by vastu. Desha kala vastu anavachinna. They themselves are products as though. So how can you say big or small when Atma is concerned? It is smaller than the smallest. Mahato Mahiyam. Bigger than the biggest. The small big business is okay in the Vyavaharika Jagat. You're comparing two different orders of reality. Therefore, to make it clear, is Vishwasya Ayatanam Mahat, the same time he says, Sukshma Sukshmataram. Taraf Pratyaya, comparative. It is smaller than the smallest. We keep on going small, we'll come to nothing. It's only to imply, to understand that Atma, I, is not something which you can measure. It is bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. So these kind of riddle-like statements you will find. In Zen also uses these paradox statements to try and help us understand. That's why I said, you cannot ask a question, where is Atma? The question itself is wrong. When was Atma created? Hey, how can you say that? Time was created. How can Atma be created? No beginning, no end. Not limited by time. Trikalatitaha. Therefore, Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyam. That kind of Atma is Nityam. By saying Mahat and Sukshma Sukshataram, we said Desha Aparichinnaha. And by saying Nityam, Kala Aparichinnaha. There is nothing else. There cannot be, once you say it is Anantam, there cannot be a second. You cannot say, oh, this is infinite. Let me add one to it. You cannot add anything to infinite. If you can add something to it, it is not infinite. It is limited. You cannot say Atma is located anywhere. Their location doesn't exist. You cannot say Atma is born 13.9 billion years ago. Time is created. You cannot compare Atma with any other Vastu. Therefore, when the word Vastu is used, it implies only Atma. Vastu lenda, you get words like vastavam. We use in Tamil quite often. Vastavam means real, true, satyam. It is the only satyam, which is desha kala vastu anavachinna. That, and then he finishes this section with a beautiful sentence. Tat swameva. And swameva tat. Look at this, very interesting. We have three entities which we have to understand. I, the self, Parameshwara, and the Jagat. When you compare the Jagat and Parameshwara, you have three entities. We're trying to figure out what these are. In many places, you're told, and we understand, that everything here, gross and subtle, sentient and insentient, small and big, near and far, all of them are non-separate from Parameshwara. Therefore, they are all Parameshwara. But Parameshwara is none of them. That equation is very funny. Everything here, including my body, my mind, my senses, my thoughts, my feelings, is nothing but Ishvara, because all come from Ishvara. Has no creator. But Ishvara has nothing to do with it. So in a very subtle way, we have reduced the three entities that we can understand into two. We have the entire Jagat, in which my body is included, my mind is included, as being non-separate from Ishvara. So none of these are to be taken into any further consideration. Remember, my body also has gone there. My Sthula Sharira, my Sukshma Sharira has gone there. They've all been equated to being the same as Ishvara. Why do you say Ishvara is none of them? Because they are different orders of reality. So there we use this expression, everything is Ishvara. Ishvara is none of them. It is like an actor wearing different costumes, wearing some dirty, torn clothes, begging on the streets. Same actor. Same actor changes clothes, wears very rich, fine clothes, and becomes a merchant, or sometimes a politician. Neither the beggar nor the rich merchant is different from the actor. Without the actor, there is neither a merchant nor a beggar. But is the actor the beggar? No. Is the actor the merchant? No. Everything here in this Jagat is nothing but Ishvara, but Ishvara is none of them. Once that is understood, this entire Jagat, I repeat again and again, including this body, this mind, this thoughts, this feelings, the ideas, everything is Ishvara. They're all non-self-existing. Now I am reduced to two things. I, which I don't know what it is. For want of a better word, I call Jiva. I don't know what it is, because I removed everything that I thought I was and put it in the Jagat. And that has become same as Ishvara. But I still exist. I call it Jiva. You cannot separate my body, my mind, everything from the Jiva. Not physically, but you can separate it in your understanding. Like and separate the waker, sleeper, and dreamer from that Sakshi, which is constant and unchanging, only in your thought process. Why it becomes difficult is, even the buddhi in which you have to make this is also part of the same Jagat. You have no choice. Once I have come to that state, saying there is Paramatma, into which I have clubbed everything in this Jagat, and there is an entity which I don't know called Jiva, which I can't physically separate from the body, etc. Only mentally I can separate the rest of it out and put it in Jagat. I have two entities left. Swam and Tat. Tat is everything. Tat includes everything. Can therefore be possibility that there is duality. There's a Swam which I can't define, which I can't see, which I can't separate from my body, mind, intelligent complex. Yet I know it's separate. I've understood it not being the same as my body. There, the equation is slightly different. That Parameshwara and this Jiva are identical. There I can say Parameshwara is Jiva and Jiva is Parameshwara. Here I can't say it. Here I say the whole Jagat is Ishvara. But Ishvara has nothing to do with it. There I say between the Jiva, I, and Parameshwara, both are Brahman, there's no difference. I am Parameshwara, Parameshwara is I. When you say Tattvamasi, there can be all kinds of interpretation of that. And there are the people who will interpret in many ways. The grossest of which is probably people who say Atattvamasi. You are not that. Atat. If I'm not that, why am I wasting so much time trying to study a Shastra? Why has somebody even written the Shastra? Sometimes people interpret saying, no, you must read it as, I am part of Tat. If you're part of Tat, then Tat cannot be infinite. That has to be partless. No, I am Bhratasya, 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 Bhratasya. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Ishvara. All interpretation. None of them can stand scrutiny. Because Brahmaji very clearly states in this, Swameva tat, tat swameva, swameva tat. You cannot make a mistake. You are the tat which is everything, which is Ishvara, Parameshwara. And that Parameshwara is you. I didn't understand because so far I could not separate I from all these, and in this Avastatraya Prakriya, between the three Avastatraya, between the waker, sleeper, and dreamer, and I could not separate physically. But I understood that none of these are I. Therefore, I must exist as a separate entity. That same Parameshwara is I. All this clothing of ignorance that is covering that is removed by Shastra. Tat Tvameva. Tvameva Tat. How can you make a mistake? Tvamasi's statement in Chandogya Upanishad, people have interpreted. No, he's saying ātmatattva. Okay. Tat Tvamasi. It is this slight, subtle understanding between the comparison between the Jagat, which is all Mithya, and Parameshwara is Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. The problem is that we immediately say Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, hands, legs, everything else. You look at that Ishvara and Guna, whatever Guna you want to attribute to the Ishvara, and the Jiva, with whatever Guna you want to attribute to the Ishvara. Only the Gunas are different because of the Upadhi. Therefore, I can easily say Jiva is Brahman, Ishvara is Brahman, Brahman equal. There's no difference. Therefore, Tat Tvameva Tvameva Tat. Wonderful presentation to be contemplated upon. We have a whole week to do that. We'll continue in the next class next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.